Kind of talked about this a little bit here. The blockchain, it's got an undeniable boost here from the election of President Trump. In the administration, they just continue to focus on making America the crypto superpower. I want to bring in our Coin Stories podcast host, Natalie Brunell. Natalie, you must feel so good these days, right? I mean, remember the days back when you and I were doing these segments and like everyone's crypto sucks, Bitcoin sucks, and you're like, no, it doesn't. How does it feel right now?
It feels great to be right. Although I wish I could still buy some Bitcoin at like 16,000. I wish I loaded up on some more. But we're the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and that's thanks in large part to the Trump administration.
So Vlad was just talking about stacking. All right, can you build upon that notion, because it does seem to be something that's central to the ideology, if you will, not just making money, but being a part of this community.
Well, I want to point out that in the crypto report that was released yesterday, there was a little Easter egg in a footnote, and it actually talked about stacking sats as a possible way that the United States could accumulate Bitcoin. And that's what we've been doing. That's the recommendation all Bitcoiners have been putting out there, to just dollar cost average, slowly accumulate, don't worry about the cost basis, and over time you grow a meaningful savings. You generate wealth. And it has been transformative for so many people, especially in my generation, the millennials and Gen Z, and allowing us to catch up, because the financial system has left so many people behind, and now they're going to innovate. And I think the regulatory framework that they're creating is really going to allow for more innovation. It's taking the approach of no more crackdowns and confusion, but actually working together and allowing us to build something.
You don't have to worry
Bitcoin.
about the government being an adversary trying to hold this thing back. Speaking of catching up, looks like more and more folks on the street are. I want you to take a listen to a soundbite of Jamie Dimon and his thoughts on this whole thing not long ago.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, et cetera. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
All right. Instead, they just cut a deal with Coin yesterday. They said they want to accelerate adoption of crypto.
Yeah, I guess he found a use case that helps his bottom line, right? I actually was on Fox many months ago, and it went viral, this clip where I said, Bitcoin doesn't need Jamie Dimon, but Jamie Dimon's going to need Bitcoin, and full circle moment, I guess.
One interesting correlation has been Bitcoin and the money supply. Is that integral? Like, here we've got the chart. It's pretty easy. You don't have to be a chartist to see, okay, they kind of trade in tandem here.
Well, one thing we know is that they're going to continue to debase, and liquidity has been at all-time highs, and that's largely because we're running these massive fiscal deficits. And guess what? They're going to continue. The projections made for the rest of the year is that we're going to be basically issuing about $18 billion worth of debt per day for the rest of the year, for the rest of 2025. So the thing you need is the one thing immune to currency debasement, immune to inflation, and that is Bitcoin.
So, I've got to ask you, right, because stable coins, grabbed some headlines. Ethereum have grabbed some headlines here recently. What are you branching out, or are you still only a Bitcoin? Are you still just a Bitcoiner?
You should know by now.
I know. I thought
I'm a
I'd
Bitcoiner.
ask.
The stable coins are really interesting because they made that such a priority, because I think it will extend dollar dominance. They've been a lifeline for so many people globally, and they will, again, allow for more purchasing of government debt, which is what we really need. But I'm a Bitcoiner because it truly fixes the biggest monetary problem, which is inflation and the destruction of our savings.
The gulf between the haves and have-nots.
Exactly.
Right. You pointed this out earlier in the conversation, but this is so critical as to why more and more people who've lost faith in the system to a degree are saying this might be the savior.
Right, it's the lifeline to allow us to save in something that no one can print, no one can confiscate and debase, and it's something that gives so many people hope for the future, because the one thing I do think that the world needs is more economic empowerment for the average individual, for the worker.
Great stuff, Natalie. Always appreciate you. You're fantastic. All right, folks, my next guest has been holding on to her big tech stocks for a long time.